Chapter 1: The Night I Died. I still remember the sound of her voice that night. Cold, sharp, empty. "I don't feel anything for you anymore," Mia said, standing in the doorway of our apartment. Her arms were crossed like she was guarding herself from me. "It's better if we end this." For a moment, I couldn't breathe. "Mia, we've been together for 12 years. You can't just say that. What happened? Talk to me." "There's nothing to talk about," she replied. She looked at me the way a stranger looks at someone asking for directions. "I'm tired, okay? I want something new." My chest tightened. "Someone new," I whispered. She didn't flinch. She didn't deny it. I felt the world tilt. "Who is he?" Before she spoke, the door behind her opened, and Adrian stepped out. My best friend. The guy I trusted with everything. The guy I let into my home, into my life. He leaned against the frame like he belonged there. "Hey man," Adrian said with a small smile, like this was some casual meeting. "We should talk." My hands curled into fists. "Talk? After this? After you and her?" Mia frowned. "Don't blame him. This is my choice." I stared at her. "You promised me forever." "And forever ended," she said softly, but it wasn't soft enough to hide the disgust in her eyes. "We grew apart. You didn't see it because you were too busy clinging to the past." Adrian stepped forward. "Look, I didn't plan this. Mia and I just connected." "Connected?" I laughed, but it came out broken. "So you've been lying to me? Both of you?" Mia rolled her eyes. "Stop acting like the victim. You were always too emotional, too dependent." "Adrian listens to me. He understands me." She said it like a weapon. She wanted it to cut. And it did. I turned to Adrian. 12 years, man. 12 years I trusted you." He shrugged. "People change." Something inside me cracked. "Say it," I whispered. "Say you betrayed me." He smirked. "If that's what helps you move on." My heart dropped. I couldn't believe this was real. I felt like I was floating outside my own body, watching my world collapse. Mia stepped closer. "Stop begging. It's pathetic." "I'm not begging," I said, though my voice shook. "I'm trying to understand." "There's nothing to understand," she snapped. "I don't love you. Not anymore." Her words echoed in my skull. I stumbled backward, hitting the wall. The hallway felt like it was shrinking around me. Adrian sighed. "Look, man. Let's not make this messy." I stared at him with tears burning my eyes. "You already made it messy." He raised a brow. "Then walk away. It's better for everyone. For everyone. Everyone but me." I laughed again, but it sounded like pain. "Fine," I whispered. "I'll go." I walked past them, feeling like a ghost in my own life. When I reached the stairs, I heard Mia exhale in relief, as if my absence made the air cleaner. Outside, the night was cold. I got into my car with shaking hands and slammed the door shut. My chest felt hollow, like someone had punched a hole through it. How did it end like this? I whispered to myself. My phone buzzed. It was a message from Mia. "Please don't make a scene. Let this go." The second message came right after. "You were too much for me. Adrian is better for my heart." I felt something inside me snap. I threw my phone onto the passenger seat and started the engine. My breath came fast and short. "After everything, this is how I end?" I said out loud, gripping the wheel. The streets blurred under the streetlights as I drove. I didn't have a destination. I didn't have anything left to go to. My mind replayed everything. Her smile, her laugh, our late-night talks, the plans we made, the way she once held my hand like it was the safest place on earth. Gone. Every memory was now a knife. Tears blurred my vision. Why wasn't I enough? I cried into the empty car. "Why didn't you fight for me?" I pressed harder on the gas without realizing it. The road curved ahead, but my mind didn't. "I would have done anything for you," I whispered. "I gave you everything." The speed increased. The tires hummed louder. My pulse raced with the engine. "That was my mistake," I said, voice trembling. "I loved you more than myself." The car swerved slightly. I grabbed the wheel, but my hands were shaking too much. The phone buzzed again. Adrian this time. Don't come back. Mia doesn't need drama. Something inside me shattered completely. I whispered, I hope I get another chance. Just one more chance to let you go first. My eyes stung. Couldn't see. The headlights of another car flashed too fast. Then, a sharp turn. Screeching tires. A blinding light. A violent impact. Everything ripping apart. My head hit something. I felt warmth trickle down my face. My hearing dimmed. Like someone turned the world's volume down. The smell of burnt metal filled my nose. My breaths came slow, heavy. I stared up at the cracked windshield. Snowflakes drifted down onto it, soft and peaceful, like they had no idea my life was ending. My body felt cold. My vision blurred. My heartbeat slowed. I'm sorry, I whispered. I didn't know who I was apologizing to. Myself? Her? The boy I used to be? Darkness crawled in. My last thought echoed in my mind as the world slipped away. If I could live again, I would never let you break me twice. And then, nothing. Just blackness. But death was not the end. It was only the beginning. Chapter 2. Back to the day she changed. When I opened my eyes again, I thought I was in a hospital bed. But the ceiling above me was wrong. Too familiar, too clean, too bright. I sat up fast, my heart racing. This wasn't the hospital. This was my old bedroom. My chest tightened. No, this can't be real. The posters on the wall, the small wooden desk, the faded blue curtains. They were the things I owned years ago. Things I threw away long before my death. I stumbled out of bed and grabbed the mirror on my desk. A younger face stared back at me. No scars, no stress lines, no exhaustion. My hair was shorter, my skin unmarked. I touched my cheek. I'm alive. Suddenly, my door swung open. There you are. Mia stepped inside, carrying a small box of food. Her smile was bright, sweet, untouched by bitterness. The Mia from years ago. My breath caught. My chest felt like it was splitting open. Mia dash. She tilted her head. Why do you look shocked? Did you forget we were meeting today? Her voice was soft and warm. The same voice that once comforted me, long before it turned cold. I couldn't speak. I just stood there, staring, drowning in a wave of feelings. She laughed lightly. You're acting weird. Did you stay up too late again? I forced myself to breathe. I had a strange dream. What kind of dream? She asked. I shook my head. Nothing important. Okay. Well, she said, placing the box on my desk. I brought your favorite breakfast. My heart twisted. She used to do that. Before everything changed. Before Adrian. Before the lies. I whispered, thank you. She blinked. Why do you sound like you're about to cry? I turned away. I'm fine. But I wasn't fine. I was shaking. I was standing in front of the girl who betrayed me, except she hadn't done it yet. In this moment, she still loved me. She reached out and touched my arm gently. If something's wrong, you can talk to me. Her touch felt different now. Heavy. Fragile. Like I was holding a memory I already knew the ending to. I forced a smile. I'll be okay. She studied me for a long moment. You really are acting strange today. I stepped back slightly. I didn't want her touch to calm me. I didn't want to fall into old habits. Because now I saw everything clearer. Every small detail I missed the first time. Every moment that led to our end. Every sign of distance I ignored. She reached for my hand. Did we fight last night? Is that why you're acting quiet? No, I said softly. We didn't fight. Then what is it? She asked again. Her eyes were warm, but now I could see the faint shadows beneath them, the early hints of doubt she hid from me, the doubt that later grew into resentment. I just need time to think, I said. She frowned. About what? I swallowed hard. About us. Her hand fell to her side. Us? Why? I didn't answer. I couldn't tell her the truth. Not about my death, not about the betrayal she hadn't committed yet, not about the second chance I didn't ask for. Instead, I stepped away from her. It's nothing, I promise. She stared at me, confused. Chapter 3: The First Shift in Fate. I walked through the streets like I was searching for the edge of the world. The sun was warm, but I felt cold under my skin. My heartbeat was too fast, too loud. I still couldn't believe I was alive again. Back in a time before everything fell apart. Every sound, every color, every scent felt sharper. Maybe because I knew how fragile this second chance was. As I reached the small park near my old apartment, someone called out, "Hey, you're out early." I turned. It was Daniel, my coworker, and one of the only people who stood by me in my first life. I didn't even notice he existed until things got bad. But he always helped me. This time I saw him clearly. "Daniel," I said quietly. He laughed. "Why do you look like you forgot my name? Did you hit your head or something?" "Something like that," I said. He frowned. "Seriously, you okay?" "Just tired." "Well," he said, taking a seat on the bench. "Sit. You look like you need it." I sat beside him. For a moment we just watched the trees shake with the wind. Felt peaceful. He glanced at me. "So, trouble with Mia again?" I stiffened. "Why do you say that?" "Because every time you look like this, she's the reason," he said bluntly. "You two fight more than you talk." I sighed. "We didn't fight. Not yet." "Not yet." He raised a brow. "That sounds serious." I shook my head. "It's complicated. Everything with you two is complicated," he said. "Maybe too complicated." In my first life, I never listened when he said things like that. I always defended Mia. Now, his words felt like warnings I should have taken long ago. I stood. "Thanks, Daniel. I'll talk to you later." He called after me, "Hey, if you need help with anything, ask. Don't try to handle everything alone again." Again. That word hit harder than he knew. I whispered, "I won't." I walked away, trying to steady my breathing. I needed to think. I needed a plan. I couldn't let the same ending happen again. But before I could take even 3 steps, a girl stepped into my path. "Oh, sorry," she said, clutching a stack of books. "I didn't see you." I recognized her. Yeah, a girl from my college classes. Smart, kind, soft-spoken. She used to smile at me sometimes. I never noticed her much because my eyes were always on Mia. Now, her presence felt different. Brighter. "It's okay," I said. She studied my face. "You look pale. Are you feeling sick?" "I'm fine." "You don't look fine," she said gently. "I have water. Want some?" I blinked. Kindness like that, it had been rare in my old life. "Sure," I said. She handed me a bottle. "Rough morning." "You could say that." "Well," she said with a small smile, "if you need someone to talk to, I listen pretty well." I froze. Leah never said that before. Or maybe she did, and I ignored her. I handed back the bottle. "Thank you." "Really?" She nodded. "Don't push yourself too hard today." I watched her walk away, and for the first time since waking up in this new life, I felt something like hope. Maybe fate wasn't fixed. Maybe I wasn't doomed to repeat the same mistakes. I turned and walked toward my apartment. As I reached the building, I saw Mia and Adrian talking just outside the entrance. But this time, something was different. They were standing close. Too close. Not touching. But the distance between them was thin. Adrian was smiling in a way I knew too well. I recognized that smile from years later, when he thought he'd won. Mia's expression was softer. Nervous. Like she was unsure of something. I stepped toward them. "Morning." They both flinched a little. Mia forced a smile. "You came back." Adrian shoved his hands in his pockets. "Didn't expect to see you this early." I looked at them carefully. "What were you two talking about?" Mia opened her mouth. "Oh," Adrian cut in. "Just school stuff." "Relax." "School stuff. A lie even in this life." But I didn't react. I kept my voice steady. "Good." They looked confused. Maybe because the old me would have asked more questions, or pretended nothing was wrong. But this time, I walked past them and opened the door. Mia called after me, "Wait." I stopped. "What?" She stepped closer. "You've been distant since morning. Did I do something?" "No," I said. Then talk to me, she insisted. I looked into her eyes, the same eyes I once trusted with my whole life. I just need time. For what? She asked. To figure myself out. She looked hurt. Are you breaking up with me? Adrian tensed beside her. I shook my head. No, I'm just thinking. Adrian scoffed. You're being dramatic, man. I turned to him. And you're too involved. His eyes widened for a second. What? You don't need to comment on everything between me and her, I said. Mia stepped between us. Stop it. Don't start a fight. I wasn't fighting. Not yet. But Adrian's stare told me everything I needed to know. The seeds were already there in his heart. Jealousy, desire, envy. I pointed toward the door. I'm going inside. Mia frowned deeply, as if she could sense some shift she couldn't explain. Can we talk later? Maybe. Her breath caught. Maybe. I nodded once and walked inside. I didn't look back. As soon as the door closed behind me, I let out a long exhale. I could feel it. The timeline was starting to change. My choices were shifting fate. For the first time since my rebirth, I whispered to myself, this time, I'll be the one who walks away first. Chapter 4, The First Echo of the Past. I woke up earlier than usual the next morning. The sun was still low, faint light spilling through thin curtains, painting soft lines across my desk. My old wooden desk, the one I had carved my initials into when I was 16. I stared at the familiar scratch marks and felt a strange ache in my chest. This was my room, my old life, my second chance. For a long moment, I simply sat there, my breath slow and uneven, trying to understand the weight of this new reality. I had died. I had been reborn. I had returned to a time before everything went wrong. And yet, as the morning silence wrapped around me, one truth pressed harder than all the rest. She was still here. In this world, she hadn't left me. She hadn't betrayed me. She hadn't started hating me. Not yet. I felt my fingers curl slowly into fists. Not this time, I whispered to myself. I won't force her to love me. I won't chase someone who doesn't want to stay. But the words tasted both bitter and terrifying. Because loving her had been the only thing I knew for 12 years. And walking away felt like unlearning how to breathe. I went downstairs, still lost in thought. The smell of fried eggs and chai drifted through the hallway. My mother stood in the kitchen, her back facing me, humming an old song she always played on Sunday mornings. Another shock hit me. I hadn't seen her like this for years. In my past life, she had grown weaker, sicker, quieter. Time had taken so much from her. But here she looked strong again, calm, happy. When she turned and saw me, her eyebrows rose. You're up early. Studying? I swallowed the sudden burn in my throat. Yeah, something like that. She smiled, the same smile I had missed in my last years. Good. Have breakfast first. As I sat at the table, she placed a plate in front of me. I looked at her hands. I remembered how frail those fingers had become. Now they moved with confidence again. I lowered my eyes quickly so she wouldn't see the emotion gathering there. After breakfast, I stepped outside to breathe the cold air. The street was quiet except for a few students walking to school. I recognized some of their faces, kids who would become friends, enemies, strangers. Back then, I barely noticed them. Now, I felt like an old man trapped in a young body, watching ghosts of the future pass by. And then I froze. A familiar voice drifted from ahead. Wait, don't forget the notes. I told you I kept them in the blue folder. My heartbeat stalled. Isha. She stood by the school gate, talking to a friend. Same hairstyle, same bright eyes, same soft, careless smile. The smile I spent years trying to protect. She hadn't seen me yet. In my past life, I would have run to her. I would have carried her bag, bought her breakfast, followed her like she was the center of my world. But now, something inside me tightened painfully. She wasn't mine. She never had been. I had only borrowed her love, and even that had ended in hate. I stepped back, trying to turn away quietly. But before I could escape, she called out, "Hey, Ryan." My name in her voice felt like a punch. Slowly, I turned around. She smiled at me. Chapter 5, The Thread I Was Never Meant to Hold. I tried to steady my breathing as I walked into the classroom, but the strange memory, no, the vision, kept replaying in my mind like a crack in a mirror. Aisha crying. Someone else's name on her lips. A voice that wasn't mine. Felt too real to ignore. Too sharp to forget. Too painful to accept. I took my seat by the window, the same place I always chose in my first life. Back then, I liked the sunlight. Now, I liked having an escape route. The bell rang. Students shuffled in, laughing and talking as if the world wasn't about to collapse in ways none of them could imagine. Aisha entered too. She didn't look at me at first. She rarely used to in our early years. It was only later, when I built my world around her, that she became the center of it. Now, she was just a chapter one had already finished reading. One I wasn't supposed to return to, but fate had a strange sense of humor. When she finally noticed me, she gave a small wave. I pretended not to see it. Her hand lowered slowly, hesitation flickering across her face. I wasn't trying to hurt her. I simply couldn't let myself fall into the same trap again. I had died for her once. That was enough for a lifetime or two. The first half of class went by in a blur. I barely heard the teacher. My mind was locked on the vision. It came with emotion, real emotion, like I had been standing right there, watching her break down in front of someone else. But why would that appear now? Why would the universe show me a wound that had not opened yet? Maybe it was a warning. Maybe it was a reminder. Maybe rebirth came with more than just a second chance. It came with the truth I refused to see the first time. When lunch break came, I stepped outside before Aisha could approach me. The courtyard was loud, filled with clusters of students. I moved toward a quieter corner by the old tree, where I used to sit when things were too heavy. Halfway there, a voice called out, "Ryan, wait." I closed my eyes for a second. Of course it was her. I turned, keeping my expression neutral. "What's up?" She jogged toward me, breath lifting her shoulders gently. "Can we talk? Just for a minute." In my past life, those words had always made me stop whatever I was doing. Now they made me tense. "Sure," I said, keeping my voice plain. No warmth. No invitation. Aisha hesitated before speaking. "You've been acting weird since yesterday. Avoiding me, not answering properly. Did I do something?" If only she knew. I shook my head. "It's not you. Just going through something." "Then let me help," she said quietly. She meant it. In this life right now she cared. But caring wasn't the same as staying. I knew how this ended. "No," I said gently. "It's something I need to deal with alone." Aisha looked at me like she was searching for an answer that wasn't there. "Ryan, did someone say something to you? Or did something happen at home?" "No." "Then why are you shutting me out?" Her voice wasn't angry. It wasn't hurt. Just confused. Soft. Young. Not yet capable of the coldness she would show me years later. "It's nothing," I said, stepping back. "Just give me a little space." Her lips parted as if she wanted to argue. But she didn't. Instead, she spoke something that twisted painfully inside me. "Okay, but please tell me if you ever feel like you're drowning. I won't walk away." The irony almost choked me, because in my past life she had walked away first. I watched her turn and rejoin her friends. She looked back once, just once, and I quickly looked away. I didn't trust myself not to fall into the same gravity I had barely escaped. I returned to the tree and sat down, finally letting my guard drop. The breeze was cool. Leaves rustled softly overhead. For a moment, I closed my eyes. That was when another pulse of pain shot through my mind. Not as sharp, not as long, just enough to make my heart jump. Faint voice. Male. Unfamiliar. Warm. Too warm. "Don't cry. I'm not going anywhere." My eyes snapped open. I had never heard that voice in my past life. Not once. In 12 years with Aisha, she had never mentioned someone like that. Not before me. Not after me. So why was I hearing him now? Why was the universe showing me a man who hadn't yet appeared in her life, but already had a place in her heart? A cold fear crawled across my skin. This wasn't random. This wasn't imagination. These were echoes, not memories of the past, but fragments of the future. The betrayal hadn't started. The lies hadn't begun. The choices hadn't been made. But their shadows were already here. I grabbed my chest, feeling a slow tremor beneath my ribs. Even in this life, even with all my warnings, even before anything had happened, someone else was destined to take her heart. And this time I wasn't going to fight for a love that never belonged to me. This time I wasn't the one losing her. I was the one letting her go. Chapter 6, When the Future Touched Me First. I didn't sleep that night. I tried. Closed my eyes, buried myself under the blanket, even counted my breaths like some therapist had once told me. But every time I drifted off, that voice returned. Don't cry. I'm not going anywhere. Soft, gentle, comforting. Words a boy should never say to a girl who wasn't his. I stared at my ceiling, the faint cracks forming strange shapes in the dark. In my past life, I had never questioned anything Aisha did. I trusted her too much, believed in her too strongly, loved her more than myself. This life was supposed to be different. Yet here I was, already being tested by a future betrayal that hadn't even happened. A part of me wanted to run. A part of me wanted to warn her. A part of me wanted to change everything. But something inside whispered, you can't save something that was never yours. The next morning, I dragged myself to school. The hallway lights were too bright, the chatter too loud, the world too alive for what was happening inside me. As soon as I walked into class, Hamza waved at me. Bro, where were you? I called you like 5 times last night. Sorry, I muttered. Didn't feel like talking. Hamza frowned. You look like you fought a ghost. I almost laughed. Something like that. Before he could ask more, Aisha entered the room. Her eyes found me instantly. She walked over, slower than usual, almost careful. Ryan, can we talk? Please. My stomach tightened. I didn't want this conversation. Not with the visions still flashing in my head. Not with the fear sitting heavy in my chest. But I nodded. We stepped into the hallway, quiet and almost empty. Aisha stood there hugging her books, looking smaller than I remembered her from my first life. Did I upset you? She asked softly. You're acting like you hate me. I don't hate you, I said quietly. I'm just tired. Of me. No, of myself. She looked confused, hurt, and a little scared. Then tell me what's wrong. I opened my mouth, then closed it. What was I supposed to say? I saw a future where you broke my heart? I saw a guy I've never met hold you while you cried? I saw myself dying for you? Something inside me cracked. So I said nothing. Aisha bit her lip, frustration and worry mixing in her voice. Ryan, I want to understand you. But you're pushing me away without telling me why. Maybe I'm protecting us, I whispered. From what? From becoming something we're not ready for. She looked stunned. Are you saying we shouldn't be friends? No, I said. I'm saying we shouldn't depend on each other so much. Not yet. Her eyes softened. I'm not depending on you. I just care. And what happens when you care about someone else? I whispered before I could stop myself. Aisha froze. Her fingers tightened around her books. Why would you say that? Because people change, I said. You will too. She stared at me like she was trying to read my soul. Are you afraid of losing me? I swallowed. Maybe. Then don't push me away. She reached out and touched my hand. My heart jumped in a way that scared me. Her warmth was familiar, painfully familiar, like a memory I couldn't forget. But this life wasn't meant to repeat the last. I gently pulled my hand away. Aisha blinked, shocked. Ryan dash. I need time, I said. Time for what? To become someone who doesn't break when people leave. Aisha opened her mouth, closed it, then whispered, I'm not leaving. Not yet, I thought. Not now. But eventually you will. The bell rang, breaking the tension. Let's go, she whispered, her voice trembling. We walked back to class in silence. During lunch, I sat under the old tree again. The world around me felt muted, like I was underwater. I took out my notebook, Chapter 7, the moment I finally saw the truth. I spent the rest of the school day pretending nothing was wrong. Pretending I wasn't seeing pieces of a future that didn't belong to me. Pretending Aisha's touch didn't still burn on my skin. Pretending my heart wasn't folding in on itself every time I remembered her voice crying out for someone else. By the time the final bell rang, my head felt heavy, like I was carrying 2 lifetimes at once. When I stepped out of the classroom, I froze. Aisha was waiting for me near the lockers. She looked nervous. That alone scared me more than the visions. When she saw me, she tightened her grip on her bag and gave a small smile. "Can we walk home together? Just today?" I hesitated. She noticed. Her smile slipped. "Please, Ryan. I don't want things to be strange between us." They were already strange. They were already broken. She just didn't know yet. "Okay," I said quietly. We started walking side by side. The hallway was crowded, but the space between us felt painfully empty. Aisha kept glancing at me like she wanted to say something but didn't know how. Halfway to the gate, she finally whispered, "Did I do something wrong?" "No," I said softly. "You didn't." "Then why do you look at me like you're scared of me?" I stopped walking. She did too. "I'm scared of myself," I said. Aisha frowned. "Ryan, I don't understand." I looked straight into her eyes I once loved too deeply, and said, "I'm scared that if I get too close to you, I'll lose myself again." Her breath caught. "Why would you lose yourself?" "Because I already did once. Because I died loving her. Because the future was already showing me the ending." But I couldn't say any of that. So I just said, "Because I feel too much. Too fast." Something in her expression softened. She stepped a little closer. "Is that a bad thing?" "It is," I whispered. "When the person you feel for is not meant to stay." Aisha stared at me like I had spoken a language she didn't understand. "Are you talking about me?" I exhaled slowly. "I don't know who I'm talking about anymore." She looked hurt, really hurt, and guilt stabbed me. But I had to do this. I couldn't let this life repeat the last. We walked outside in silence, following the same path we always took. The road was lined with old houses and broken pavements. The afternoon sun cast long shadows behind us. Suddenly, Aisha stopped. "Ryan," she said, voice shaking a little. "If you don't want me in your life, just say it." I turned. "That's not what I want." "Then what do you want?" Her voice cracked with frustration. I looked away. "I want to protect both of us." "From what?" "You wouldn't understand." "Then make me understand," she cried. Her eyes glistened. My chest tightened painfully. I took a deep breath. "Okay, you want the truth? Fine." She waited, holding her breath. "There will be a time," I said slowly, "when someone else will be there for you. Someone who can comfort you in ways I can't. Someone who fits your heart better." Aisha blinked, stunned. "Why would you say something like that?" "Because I know it's true." "You don't know anything," she snapped, voice breaking. "Yes, I do." "No, you don't." She stepped forward, eyes burning. "I choose who I care about. I choose who I trust. And right now, I'm choosing you." My heart throbbed painfully at her words. In my first life, I would have melted. In my first life, that sentence would have become my entire world. But in this life, I knew better. "You're choosing me now," I said softly. "But the future changes people." Aisha shook her head, tears threatening to spill. "You don't get to tell me what I'll feel." I swallowed, struggling to keep my voice steady. "I saw something, Aisha." She froze. "Saw what?" "A moment where you were crying," I whispered. "And someone else held you. Someone I don't even know." Her lips parted slowly, confusion and disbelief mixing in her eyes. "Are you joking?" "No." "Then you're imagining things." "I'm not." "Then you're lying." "I wish I were." Aisha stared at me, eyes shimmering with tears she refused to let fall. "And because of some dream, you want to push me out of your life?" "It wasn't a dream." "Then what was it?" I looked at her helplessly. A warning. A warning from who? I don't know. Aisha stepped back, hugging her arms tightly around herself. So that's it? You're giving up on us because of something that hasn't even happened? Yes, I said quietly, because I'm not strong enough to live through it again. Her expression broke. Really broke, and something inside me cracked with it. You coward, she whispered. I took the hit silently. Running away before anything even starts. That's not protecting us. That's destroying us. I tried to speak, but my throat tightened. She looked away, wiping her eyes quickly. You know what hurts most? I trusted you, even when you shut me out, even when you acted strange. I still thought you cared. I do care, I said, voice trembling. Then stay, she whispered. My hands tightened into fists. Couldn't. I knew I couldn't. Loving her again would destroy me. So I whispered, I can't. Aisha's breath hitched. For a moment, she just stared at me. Hurt, confused, angry, scared, all at once. Then she said the words that carved themselves into my reborn heart. Fine. If you want distance, I'll give you distance. If you want space, I'll give you space. But don't blame me later if I stop waiting. A cold wind rushed through my chest. Because that was it. The beginning of the end. The first step toward the future I had already seen. She walked away slowly, each step pulling a piece of me with her. I watched her go until she turned a corner and disappeared. My voice cracked in the empty street. I'm sorry, Dash, but it was too late. I had let her go, and the future had already started to change. Chapter 8: The Breaking Point of Silence. The days after Aisha walked away were quiet, too quiet. School felt like a maze I wandered through blindly. Every corner I turned reminded me of her laughter echoing in the hallways, her presence lingering in the empty classrooms. Even Adrian and Mia seemed distant, like they sensed the shift around me but couldn't name it. I didn't reach out to anyone. I barely spoke. I wasn't hiding, I was protecting myself. Protecting the version of me that had already died once for love. But protection had a price. One afternoon, I found myself sitting alone under the old tree, watching leaves tumble in the wind. The shadows stretched long and thin across the cracked pavement. Hamza approached, carrying a bottle of water and his usual easy smile. You've been quiet for days, he said, plopping down beside me. What's going on? You're freaking me out, man. I didn't answer. I just stared at the moving branches. He nudged me. Come on, tell me. Is it Aisha? I flinched. Maybe. Hamza frowned. Maybe? Bro, man up. She's not some ghost you're gonna chase forever, right? I can't explain it, I whispered, voice trembling. It's not about chasing. It's about preventing pain. He tilted his head. Preventing pain for who? For both of us, I said. I saw it, Hamza. I saw a future. A moment where she cries in someone else's arms. And I don't survive that again. I can't. Hamza stared at me, speechless. Then he shook his head slowly. Man, that's heavy. But you can't live like that. Waiting for a future that hasn't even happened yet. I clenched my fists, feeling heat in my chest. I can't ignore it. Not this time. I won't be blind. I won't beg for a love that isn't mine. He exhaled, running a hand through his hair. You sound like a hero in some sad drama, bro. But heroes don't always get the girl. Sometimes, they just survive. I looked at him. Survival isn't enough. Not anymore. He patted my shoulder. Then go. Live. Don't wait for ghosts. Later that evening, I saw Aisha again. She was sitting on the low wall near the fountain. Alone, eyes fixed on the flowing water. My heart leaped, then sank. I approached cautiously. Aisha. She looked up, startled. Then her face softened. Ryan, you came. I stopped. The words stuck in my throat. I wanted to say everything. Wanted to tell her about the visions, the warnings, the ghosts of the past life. But the moment I opened my mouth, the weight of what I had to do pressed down. I can't, I whispered finally. Her smile faltered. You can't what? Stay, I said. I can't stay with you. Aisha blinked, hurt flashing across her face. Why not? Because Chapter 9, The Consequence of Holding Back. The days that followed were silent but heavy. Every classroom, every hallway, every corner of the school reminded me of her. Aisha's laughter, her casual glances, even the way she tucked her hair behind her ear. It all lingered in my mind like a ghost I couldn't chase away. I tried to keep myself busy, burying my thoughts in homework, books, and aimless walks. But nothing distracted me from the knowledge that I had pushed her away. The knowledge that I had acted before any betrayal even existed. And somehow that made it worse. One afternoon, as I sat alone under the old tree, Hamza appeared, grinning like nothing had changed. "Bro," he said, dropping down beside me. "You've officially become a statue. I can't even get you to laugh anymore." I managed a faint smile. "I'm fine." "Fine?" he echoed, raising an eyebrow. "You're not fine. You're miserable, and you know it." I looked away. "Maybe I'm learning to survive." "Survive?" Hamza scoffed. "Surviving isn't living, Ryan. You're punishing yourself for something that hasn't even happened yet." I clenched my fists. "I can't risk it." "Risk what?" "Her love." "Yes," I whispered. "Her heart and mine. I can't live through losing her again. I can't." Hamza shook his head. "You think avoiding her is protecting you? You're not protecting anyone. You're just running away from life." I stared at him, but I had no answer. Because he was right. That evening I couldn't stay in my room. The memories of my past life, the visions of the future, they haunted me. I needed air. I walked to the park, the cold wind cutting across my face, trying to clear the storm inside. And there she was, Isha, sitting on the same bench where we had once laughed together, her eyes fixed on the ground. She looked small, vulnerable, beautiful in a way that tore at me. I hesitated. My chest tightened. I wanted to run. I wanted to stay away. But something inside me refused to leave. I stepped closer. "Aisha." She looked up, startled. "Ryan, what are you doing here?" "I needed to see you," I said quietly. She frowned. "Why?" "We agreed. Space, remember?" "Yes," I whispered, voice low. "Space. But I also needed to tell you something." Her expression softened slightly. "What?" I took a deep breath. "I pushed you away. I didn't trust myself. I didn't trust the future. I saw something I couldn't ignore. And I thought, if I leave you now, I can save both of us from pain." Aisha's lips trembled. "And now I see that I was wrong," I said, my voice cracking. "I can't protect you from the future. I can't shield myself from the truth. I can't survive without letting you know that I care, that I always have, that I love you." She blinked, stunned, as if my words were fragile glass that might shatter at any moment. I don't know what to say," she whispered. "You don't have to say anything," I said quickly. "I'm not asking for anything. I just couldn't let another day pass without telling you the truth." Her eyes glistened with unshed tears. "Ryan Dash, I'm afraid," I admitted, the words spilling out. "Afraid that no matter what I do, the future will take you from me. Afraid that I'll lose you again. But staying silent, that hurts more than anything." Aisha reached out, slowly, hesitating, then placed her hand over mine. The warmth of her touch sent a jolt through my chest. "I don't understand all of this," she said softly. "But I know one thing. I still care about you. I've always cared." Her words struck me like a hammer. The past, the present, the future. They all collided inside me, and for the first time I didn't feel fear. I squeezed her hand gently. "Then don't let me disappear from your life. Not yet. Not while we have time." Her lips curved into a small, fragile smile. "Not yet." And for the first time in what felt like an eternity, I breathed freely. But even as we sat together, hand in hand, a shadow lingered at the edge of my mind. The visions, the warnings, the knowledge that someone else's presence in her future was inevitable. I pushed it down, swallowing the fear, letting it dissolve into silence. Couldn't stop fate. I couldn't rewrite every path. But I could live this moment. I could hold her. I could let her know she mattered. I could love her, even if the world tried to take her away later. Because sometimes, surviving wasn't enough. Sometimes you had to fight for the moments that mattered, even if the ending was already written. And I was ready to fight, even if it meant breaking myself all over again. Chapter 10: The First Crack in Fate. The next week felt lighter, almost peaceful. Aisha and I didn't label anything, didn't rush into anything, didn't pretend to know what we were doing. But we talked, we laughed a little, and for a brief moment, life felt like it belonged to us again. But fate is cruel. It always tests you right when you start to believe you're safe. On Thursday morning, I walked into school and instantly felt something wrong in the air. Students gathered in small groups, whispering, turning toward the entrance. I followed their eyes and froze. A tall guy stood there, confident smile, hands in pockets, sharp features, familiar, too familiar, like the ghost of a life I had already lived. It was him, the guy from my past life, the study buddy she once called harmless, the man who had taken her away from me. My chest tightened painfully. He wasn't supposed to appear this early. Not yet. Hamza leaned in, whispering, "Who's that?" "New admission." I swallowed hard. "Yeah, something like that." "He looks like trouble," Hamza muttered. Trouble was an understatement. Aisha didn't know he was here yet. She was in class, unaware of the storm about to swallow us. I wanted to warn her. I wanted to grab her hand and pull her away from everything. But I couldn't run from fate. Not again. I had to face it. When the bell rang, Aisha stepped into the hallway. She saw me first, smiled warmly, and then her smile faded as she noticed him standing behind me. Her eyes widened. Her body froze. Her breath caught. "Aram?" she whispered, barely able to form the word. His face lit up. "Aisha, I thought it was you." She stared at him like she'd seen a ghost. Because she had. A ghost from a future that haunted me. I clenched my jaw. My palms grew cold. This was the moment I had tried to avoid, the path I thought I could change. Aram stepped closer. "It's been so long. I transferred here. Crazy coincidence, right?" Aisha forced a weak smile. "Why, yeah, coincidence." He looked at her with a familiarity that made my stomach twist. He didn't know her yet, but something in him already leaned toward her. Like fate was pulling invisible strings. And she wasn't falling for him. Not now. Not yet. But her shock, her past connection, her surprise, it all felt too close to the story I had already lived. I stepped forward. "Aisha, we'll be late for class." Aram glanced at me. "Oh, sorry, man. Didn't see you there." He extended a hand casually. "I'm Aram." I looked at his hand but didn't take it. "Ryan." Aisha's eyes shifted between us nervously. Aram shrugged lightly. "Cool, bro. See you around." He walked off, hands in pockets, whistling like he hadn't just walked into my nightmare. The moment he disappeared down the hallway, Aisha turned to me. "Ryan, I swear, I didn't know he was coming. I didn't even know he moved back to the city." "I know," I said softly. "It's not your fault. But the way you looked at him dash." I forced a smile. Just surprised, that's all. But inside, my heart was burning. At lunch, Aisha sat across from me, picking at her food instead of eating. "I don't want you to misunderstand anything," she said, voice low. "He's just someone I knew long ago. That's it." I nodded. "I trust you." But trust wasn't the problem. Fate was. She leaned forward, eyes searching mine. "If you're worried I'll drift away from you, don't. I'm here right now with you." Her words were warm, honest, comforting. But in my memories, those final painful years of my past life, she had once said the same thing, meaning it, believing it, until time, distance, and life slowly changed her. "Ryan," she whispered, "talk to me." I looked into her eyes, clear, sincere, filled with concern. She deserved the truth, but not the impossible truth. not the story of another life, not the future I had already lived. So I said only what I could manage. I'm just afraid of losing. Chapter 11, Rebirth of Myself. I stood on the edge of the fountain where Aisha and I had shared our first real conversation after everything had changed. The city was quiet, evening settling over the streets like a soft blanket. My chest was tight, my hands trembling slightly. I had chased shadows, visions, and echoes of a life that was already written. And yet here I was alive, breathing, standing. I had survived. Aisha approached slowly, her steps hesitant but steady. She looked at me, eyes searching for a version of me she hadn't seen yet. "Ryan," she whispered, voice soft. "You've been avoiding me all week." "I had to," I admitted. "I needed to be sure I could handle this life, handle us, handle myself." She frowned slightly. "Handle yourself? What do you mean?" I took a deep breath. "I've lived this life once. I loved you too much. I let my heart break over and over. I let the world take you from me, and I didn't survive it. This time, I promised myself I wouldn't make the same mistake. Not again." Aisha tilted her head. "But you're here, and you're not running anymore." "No," I said quietly, "because I realized something important. Love, it's not about avoiding pain. It's about choosing what matters, even if it hurts, even if the future is uncertain." Her eyes shimmered with unshed tears. "And you chose me?" I smiled faintly, my chest tightening at her words. "I choose us, right now. Not the past, not the visions, not the fear. I choose this moment with you." Aisha's lips trembled. "Ryan, I stepped closer and gently took her hands in mine. "Don't say anything yet. Just feel it. Feel this. Nothing else matters right now." She nodded slowly, closing her eyes. The warmth of her hands against mine was enough to make my heart ache, but in a good way, a way that reminded me I was alive. We sat on the edge of the fountain together in silence for a long moment, letting the world fade around us. The air smelled of rain from earlier, the cool evening breeze soft against our skin. "I saw the future," I said finally, voice low. "I saw you with someone else, and I thought I would never survive that again." Aisha's grip tightened. "Ryan dash. But now," I continued, "I understand something important. The future isn't fixed. The visions aren't rules. They're warnings. But I don't live for warnings. I live for moments, for choice, for love. And I choose you, Aisha. Every day I get the chance." Tears ran down her cheeks. "I never stopped caring about you, Ryan. I've always trusted you, even when you pushed me away, even when it hurt." I brushed the tears gently from her face. "I promise, I won't push you away again. Not unless I have to. And not because I'm afraid." Her lips curved into a small smile. "Then we start over?" I nodded. "We start over. No ghosts, no shadows, no echoes from the past. Just us." She leaned her head against my shoulder. My arms wrapped around her, holding her close. And for the first time in 12 years, I felt whole. Days passed, and life didn't magically fix itself. Aram still existed, still walked in the same halls. But something had changed in me. I no longer feared the future. I didn't try to control it. I didn't try to see it in visions or shadows. I simply lived it, step by step, moment by moment, with Aisha by my side. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, the cracks of the past began to heal. One evening, as we sat under the same tree where so many memories were rooted, Aisha looked at me. "Do you ever regret letting go?" she asked softly. I shook my head. "No, because letting go was the only way I learned how to hold on properly." She smiled, warmth in her eyes. "You're different now, stronger, but still Ryan." "Yes," I said, squeezing her hand. "Still me, but wiser. And this time, I'll never let go of what truly matters." A soft silence fell over us. I realized then that rebirth wasn't just about living again. It was about understanding, about letting go of the past, embracing the present, and daring to face the future without fear. And in that moment, with her hand in mine, I knew I had truly been reborn. I whispered to myself more than to her. After 12 years of love turned to hatred, after all the pain, after everything, I finally get to hold what I couldn't before, and I won't let it slip away. Not this time. Aisha leaned closer. Ryan dash. I held her tighter, feeling the steady beat of her heart against mine. No more shadows, I said. Just us. And in the quiet of that evening, with the city breathing softly around us, I finally believed it. The past was gone. The future was uncertain. But right now was ours.